Yes. Yesterday we discussed about the what is the tetranogenetic and carcinogenic genetic and the mutagenetic effects. Before that, what are the topics we covered yesterday? Just we want to recall once again. Just we have to recollect. Okay. Yesterday we discussed that objectives. What are the objectives of this particular environmental toxicology is by the end of this unit we will able to learn. Okay, by the end of this unit we will learn about some important points. In that first one is the classify the pollutants of the ecosystem, list out various principles of toxic pollutants, describe different toxical considerations, explain the effect of toxic pollutant on various organs, system of the human body. These are the main important four objectives. We observed all the four objectives at the end of this chapter. Okay. Then next one is the introduction. In the introduction, we are discussed about that how many types of environmental toxicities are there, biological effects of the pollutants, and how that particular things will be work, and how that particular pollutants can enter into our food chains and food webs. Already in the last class, we discussed about the classification of pollutants, non-biodegradable pollutants, biodegradable pollutants. Then next types of toxic pollutants, toxical considerations. Already we discussed in the last class. We discussed that acute toxic effects and also we discussed the chronic toxic effects and all. And in this chapter, the most important topic already we discussed in a mixture of poisons. And now we are going to discuss with that tetranogenetic, carcinogenic and mutagenic effects. Tetrogenetic. Tetrogenic, carcinogenic and mutagenic effects must be given a special attention. Must be given a special attention. Tetragenetic. So why? Because it is a special means it's going to see the adverse effects. Already we discussed when the particular tetragenetic compounds can affect the embryo, can affect the a particular human being before his life will be start on the earth, means at that fetus stage, at that embryo stage only the tetranogenic compounds can affect the human life. Okay. The tetragenetic agents may be a drugs. What are the tetragenetic agents? It may be a drugs, it may be a radiation from the both ionizing and non-ionizing environmental pollutants, chemical hazards in the workplace, and dietary deficiencies and the natural contaminations. All through the mutations occurring in germ cells may rise the abnormalities in the stage of the neonate. The stage of the neonate, and it shows the Down syndrome. Tretinogenicity is a normally confined to effect of foreign agents, especially foreign agents on somatic cells within either the developing embryo of fetus and the consequence effects on that the particular individuals are rather than the inherited defects. This is some important information about that tetra teratogenic compounds. Then coming to the next one, a carcinogenic effects. Carcinogenic effects are those which cause the cancers. Okay, carcinogenic effects are those which cause cancer, which may be defined as a disordered growth of cells which can invade and the destroy tissues. It can destroy the growth of the cell, and also it can destroy the a natural arrangements of the tissues. The characteristics symptom is the formation of cell masses and called tumors. So what are the symptom of this carcinogenic effects are nothing but the formation of the cell masses. Cell masses are nothing but called as the tumors. Cell masses are nothing but a tumors. The tumors which may cause cancer are said to be a malignant, and those which do not are said to be benign. So maybe the tumors are the cancer tumors. It may be a cancer tumors. It has been established that the high propagation of human cancers are attributed to environmental agents. So, how that particular cancer will affect the human means the main cause of this cancer attacks are nothing but environmental agents. Due to that environmental agents only, the number of the cancer patients will be increased day by day in our country. Okay. Then next one is in our country, mainly environmental chemicals. The distribution of potential carcinogens in the environment. The distribution of potential carcinogens. The distribution of a potential carcinogens in the environment is aqueous. So that is nothing but is it anywhere the what are the pollutants which can cause the carcinogenic effects. It may be spread anywhere in the environment, it may be a water, it may be a food, it may be a soil, it may be anything. Okay. Water sources may contain the carbon tetrachloride. The water may be contain the a carbon tetrachloride and the other chlorinated compounds are the metallic salts that may potentially carcinogenic. Maybe some other chemicals like uh, chlorinated compounds, metallic salts, and maybe potentially these are the carcinogenic compounds. Okay. Next one is the laboratory and the industrial solvents such as benzene and carbon tetrachloride may also be a carcinogenic. From the laboratories and from the industries, the solvents such as benzene and the carbon tetrachloride may also be a carcinogenic. Nitroso compounds may represent the another important type of potential carcinogens. Okay, another important potential carcinogenic is nothing but nitroso compounds. Nitroso compounds may represented another important type of carcinogens. The mutagenic effects are those which cause the chromosome alterations. How that particular, okay, how that a particular carcinogenic compounds and a tetragenic compounds can change our gene is nothing but the mutagenic effects are those which cause the a chromosome alternations and thus alter genetic characteristics. It can change the position of the amino acids in our DNA. In our DNA. Okay. The toxicants which are mutagenic frequent, erect, tetragenic and the carcinogenic effects in the consequences. The mutagenicity, the structure of the deoxyribonucleic acid. So the structure the chemicals can mutagen the structure of deoxyribonucleic acid, that is nothing but DNA, in chromosomes, alters and cause a potential genetic abbreviations and the mutations. Genetic abbreviations and the mutations. These are all about that. These are all about carcinogenic compounds. Once again, I repeat this one. The carcinogenic effects are those which cause cancer, which may be defined as a dis, discover, disordered growth cells. So unwanted cells growth will be observed in that particular a person can affect with the carcinogenic compounds which involved in the destroy the cell. It can disturb the cell structure and also it can disturb the tissues of the cells. And the characteristic symptom is the formation of the cell masses. Formation of cell masses are nothing but the tumors. Tumors which may cause the cancer are said to be a malignant or are those which not shared in the beginning. So these are the main symptoms when that particular person can affected with the carcinogenic compounds. It has been established. It has been established that the high proportion of human cancers are attributed. What is the main cause about that high proportion of human cancers are nothing but the environmental pollutants and environmental chemicals. Okay, environmental chemicals. The distribution of potential carcinogens in the environment is inequitous. The water source may contain a carbon tetrachloride and the other chlorinated compounds of metallic salts that may be a potentially carcinogenic, that may be a potentially a carcinogenic compounds. Okay, laboratory and industrial solvents such as benzene, laboratory and industrial solvents such as benzene and the carbon tetrachloride may also be a carcinogenic. Nitroso compounds may represent another important type of a potential carcinogens. Another important type of a potential carcinogen. Okay, mutagenic effects are those which cause the chromosomic alternations. Mutagenic effects are those which can cause the chromosomes alternations. Means chromosomes alternation will be takes place while the particular amino acids can change their place and change the bonding with the another amino acid in the DNA. A frequent extract of tetragenetic and the a carcinogenic effect is in consequence. The mutagenicity, the structure of the deoxyribonucleic acid in chromosome alters and cause a potential genetic aberration and mutations. These are all about that carcinogenic effects. Although many of organ systems are affected by the actions of a toxic pollutants. So many organs in our body can shows the adverse effect according to the toxic pollutants which are in the environment. The central nervous system, liver, kidney are organs most commonly associated with the tissue damage from toxic compounds. Tissue damage from the toxic compounds. Then coming to the next one. Okay. Then coming to the next one. Neurotoxicity. Of all the systems in the body of animals, the nervous system is the most sensitive one. So in our total in the human body, the nervous system is the most sensitive one. Even the slight damage of the system resulting in the appearance signs and symptoms which are characteristics and easily identifiable. What are the a small changes? It is slight damage of the nervous system. It can shows the signs and symptoms are characteristics are very identifiable. So very identifiable. Okay, the role of central nervous system in cognitive and the emotive process is recognized by both scientists and laymen. Neurotoxicology is a concern with the adverse effects of chemical agents on the nervous system. What is neurotoxicology means? How that harmful chemicals can affect on the nervous system. Okay, this is called as the neurotoxicology. The central nervous system is obviously a high complex network of specialized cells, and the distribution of sections of these systems may be a prolonged effect on the function of an organism, which will probably permanent as a nerve cells do not be generated. The nerve cells are a do not a probably it can work for lifelong. It cannot be regenerated. It cannot be a regenerated cells. The cells of the nervous system. The cells of the nervous system are partially sensitive to change their environment. Partially sensitive to change their environment, which may be caused by the toxic compounds, axial restrictions of blood flow, a lack of glucose, and the other essential metabolites are, and the inhalation of intermediary metabolism may also cause the damage of the nerve cells, and also a direct damage may be caused by the cytotoxic agents or the toxic effects of some compounds. So, shall I repeat this point one more time? The central nervous system is obviously a high complex network of a specialized cells. the particular nervous system having the most important cells, and it is also a very much complex nervous system with a specialized cells, and the destruction of the cells may prolonged effect on the function of the organism. The disturbance in the particular nervous system, it may be a one cell may be disturbed, it can show the adverse effect, it will show the adverse effect through function of the organism, particular function of the particular organ, which will probably be permanent. The nerve cell cannot be, if the particular nerve cell will be dead, it cannot be regenerated again, that is loss, that's it. The cells of the nervous system are partially sensitive to change their environment. So the nervous system is a very sensitive to change their environment. Okay, which may caused by the toxic compounds. So it may be changed by the caused by the toxic compounds. Destruction of blood flow, a lack of glucose and other essential metabolites, other essential metabolites and inhabitations of a intermediary metabolism may also cause the a damage of the nerve cell, and the a direct damage may be caused by the cytotoxic agents. The toxic effects of some compounds also. Some effects of the compounds, some effects particular compounds can affect the nervous system. It can shows the development of peripheral neuropathy, and some of the chlorinated inheritance are particularly active in this respect, and so is methyl mercury, which is famous because if it is association with the Minamata disease in Japan. People living in and around the Minamata discussed in the earlier chapter. Yes, we already discussed in the last class or before class. Yeah, already we discussed in the last class. What is that means? Yes, discussed in the last class about that when that particular Japan people suffered with the Minamata disease, uh, what are the heavy metals can directly enter into their food. They can eat that. What are the fishes which are poisonated with the mercury, which is poisonated with the mercury. That particular fishes are cooked and eaten by the Japanese at that time, and nearly n number of people can affected with the Minamata disease. Okay. Among the pollutants, the pesticides are known as effective neurotoxins. The major portion of modern synthetic insecticides. Among the pollutants, the pesticides are known as effective neurotoxins. Okay, now the pesticides are known as the effective neurotoxins. The major portion of the modern systematic insecticides, the organophosphate compounds and the carbamates, have the ability to inhibit the ability to inhibit the SS activity. This inhibition of the SS is a cause of development of nervous system. The cause of a development of a nervous system as the result of the inhibition of the activity of enzyme, essence or organophosphate compounds. There is an accumulation of acyl chloride in the chlorogenic organs. This is brought about the a property of the OP compounds to mimic the gross molecular shape of the natural substance of the fluorescent acetylene chloride. Normally, a CAC combines with the enzyme and by the process of acceleration, whereas the OP compounds combines with the prohydration during the process of enzyme recovery the process of uh, deacylation from the enzyme occurs a very rapid, but recovery of enzyme is a dephosphatization takes place and extremely slow, please. There is so extremely slow, extremely slow actually. Therefore, most of the enzymes remains bound to the OP compounds and it is not easily recovered. It is the turn result in the excess of accumulation of ACK which cause the neurotoxic effects. Okay, shall I repeat this point one more time? Among the pollutants, I want to repeat this point. Among the pollutants, the pesticides are known as the effective neurotoxicants. The major portion of the modern systematic insecticides, synthetic insecticides, organophosphate compounds, and the carbonates have the ability to inhabit the acetyl acetylcholinesterase activity. The inhabitation of arenes is the cause of development of nervous system as a result of inhabitation of the activity of enzyme against by the organophosphate compounds. There is an accumulation of acetyl chloride in the chronic snips. This is brought about by the property of the OP compounds to mimic the gross molecular shape of the a natural substance of the acetyl chloride. Normally, ACT combines with the enzymes by the process of acetylation, where the OP compounds combines with the phosphorylation during the process of enzyme recovery. The process of deacceleration of the enzyme occurs very rapidly, but the recovery of enzyme by the dephosphorization takes place at an extremely slow. Therefore, most of the enzymes remains bound with the OP compounds and it not easily recovered. This is turn the result in excess accumulation of the chemicals which causes the neurotoxic effects. This is all about the neurotoxicity. Okay, then coming to that, compounds causing the neurotoxicity. What are the compounds can cause the neurotoxicity? Neurotoxins the neurotoxins are the polypeptides. Okay, the neurotoxins are the polypeptides that contain 61 to 74 amino acid residues. That particular neurotoxins and the polypeptides have the capacity to contain 61 to 74 amino acid residues. The neurotoxin shows no effect on the central nervous system. The particular neurotoxins, it cannot shows the any adverse effect on the central nervous system, but rather act as a neuromuscular blockage, but agents by the reducing the end plate. But these particular chemicals cannot show the any adverse effect on the central nervous system, but it can shows the adverse effect on the neuromuscular to block the agents by reducing the end plate depolarization of the acetyl chloride. So okay, due to the presence of the acetyl chloride, the particular chemicals can act on the neuromuscles to block the agents. Okay, neurotoxic effects are additive and uh, the antagonized by the antichlorinated agents. The neurotoxics are lethal because they have the ability to cause the respiratory failures. The main cause of this is the main cause of the respiratory failures are nothing but the particular chemicals can affect or can block the agents of the agents in the place of the neuromusculars. Okay, main neurotoxicity can be changed with the residues of the amino acids. Nearly 61 to 74 amino acid residues will act on that particular muscular bonds. It can cause a respiratory failure. Some of the possible central nervous system toxins. What are the? Now we are going to discuss some important possibles of the central nervous system toxicants are the animal products, the microbial and fungal toxins, and third one is the plant products. By the three important toxicants, the nervous system can be affected. Maybe that particular chemicals entered into our food chain by the animal products, the microbial and fungal toxins, and the next one is the plant products. By the plant products, the animal products are most often associated with the human health. Most oftenly associated with the human health. Okay, snake venoms, for example, cobra, neurotoxin, cobra. Okay, neurotoxin, protoxin from the tropical rattlesnake, and the venom from the other reptiles such as the gilmonster. Gilmonster is a one type of reptile. Okay, the most important neurotoxins are uh, venom of the king cobra and the corotoxin of the a tropical um, rattlesnake. Then next one coming to that, the microbial and the fungal toxins. Coming to the next one, the microbial and the fungal toxins. Okay, a group of microbial and fungal toxins. A microbial and fungal toxins are this group of toxins includes those of bacterial and the fungal origin. Okay, an important group of bacterial toxins are proteins produced by the numerous species of the genus Clastodium. From the species of the Clastodium, some toxins and some secretions will be produced by the Clastodium species that can cause the neurotoxicity in the humans. Okay, this bacterium produce a protein of 70,000 deltons called the tetano tetanospamin. Tetanospamin is a one type of daltons which can be produced by the bacterium species Clastodium in the form of proteins. It act as a neurotoxin which moved into the nerve cells until it blends or it is fixed to the nerve cord, and it blocks the inhibitory input and the spinal motor neurons and resulting in the paralysis and resulting in the paralysis. Okay, what are the proteins which can be produced by the Clastodium species? Have the capacity to damage the spinal nervous system, and finally it can resulting in the paralysis of the humans. There are a many neurotoxins that we constructed of various fungal species. For example, ergot fungus, alkaloids, and amenta species of mushroom which have delayed the cerebratoxicity. It may delayed the cerebratoxicity. Okay. Then coming to the plant products. mm, the plant extracts that has the effect the greatest number of people and has also be an important biochemical tool is morphine of an alkaloid of opium poppy. Opium poppy. It is the a scientific name. Shall I want to repeat this point one more time. The plant products, the plant extract that has affected the great number of people and has also been an important biochemical tool is morphine is an alkaloid of an opium poppy. Okay. Coming to the next one. The most successful botanical product. The most successful botanical product has been pyrethrin, a mixture of natural esters, esters extracted from the chrysanthemum flowers grown in Kenya. These insecticides partially give the effective agents, flies, mosquitoes, and stored gains, insect, aphids, and the many other household pests was introduced in the United States is about in the year of 1885 by CVV Raleigh. It is contact and nerve poison, giving a extreme quick knock down effect of having the a minimum toxicity of mammals and human race. This is all about this one. Okay, that is nothing but a plant products. I want to repeat that a microbial and fungal toxins as well as the plant products one more time. Coming to the microbial and the fungal toxins. This group of toxins includes those of bacterial and fungal origin. An important group of bacterial toxins are proteins produced by a numerous species of Clostridium. This bacterium produce a protein of 70,000 deltons called the tetanospermin, which involved which moved into the nerve cells until it blinds or fixed to a in the gangster in the blood in the nerve cord. There it blocks the inhibitory input of a spinal motor neurons as well as the resulting in the paralysis of the humans. Then coming to the next one, there are the many neurotoxins that are constituted of a various fungal species. For example, ergot fungus alkaloids and the animata species of mushrooms which have delayed the cerebrotoxicity. Then coming to the next one, plant products. The plant extract that has affected the a greatest number of people and has also been an important biochemical tool is morphine, and alkaloid is called also a opium poppy. Opium poppy. Then coming to the next point, most important point, the most successful botanical product has been parasin, the mixture of a natural esters extracted from the chrysanthemum flowers grown in Kenya. These insecticides partially effective agents, flies, mosquitoes stored against the insect, aphids, and many other household pests was introduced in the United States in about 1885 by C.V. Ray. It is a contact nerve poison are giving extremely quick and knock down the effect of having a minimum toxicity to mammals and the human race. These all are about that microbial and fungal toxins as well as plant products. Then coming to the next topic, named as hepatotoxicity. Named as the hepatotoxicity. Human beings in their living and the working environment, the insects inhales and absorb the many chemicals. Yes. Okay. That can important stress either a obese and the numerous biological mechanisms. The liver being the primary site of the biotransformation of the foreign compounds is partially vulnerable to those the chemicals which are present in that inhale and exhale process. Activation of xenobiotics of highly reactive intermediates occurs to such an extended that many of these chemicals are transformed to hepatotoxins and as such as involved in the ethology and the pathogenesis of the liver disorders, both carcinogenic and the non-carcinogenic effects. Okay. I want to repeat this hepatotoxicity one more time. The human beings in their livings and that working environment ingests, inhales, and absorb the many chemicals that can impart stress, either subtle or the obvious numerous biochemical mechanisms. The liver being the primary site for an biotransformation of the foreign compounds is partially vulnerable of those chemicals assess activation of the xenobiotics to highly reactive intermediates occurs to such an extent that many of those chemicals are transformed into a hepatotoxins as such as are involved in the etiology and the pathogenesis of a liver disorders, both carcinogenic and non-carcinogenic effects. Carcinogenic disorders. Okay. Liver disorders, fatty liver, cholesterol. These are the carcinogenic disorders. Then coming to the tissues in the how the tissues of the liver can be damaged. Now we discussed. Liver necrosis may be defined as the death of the hepatocytes. It is nothing but the death of the hepatocytes. What are the liver cells? Okay. The underlying biochemical lesion is the inhalation one or more essential metabolic process of a hepatocytes. When we are going to inhale the more number of hepatocytes, okay, such as a severe inhabitation of RNA and DNA. The severe inhabitation of the RNA and DNA. Inhabitation of protein synthesis resulting from neutal and endoplasmic reticulum damage, distribution of mitochondrial energy generation and the control, damage of lysosomes causing the autolysis, depletion of ATP and the iridium 5 tetraphosphate, and a drastic shift in the nitrogen and the potassium balance between the hepatocytes and the blood. This is all about that. Okay. Then coming to the next one. Any of these events may contribute to the cell death. Any of these above events means what are the above events are nothing but a severe inhabitation of RNA and DNA. It may be caused the contribute to the death, inhabitation of protein synthesis resulting from the neural and the endoplasmic reticulum damage. It also a cause to death, dispersion destruction of a mitochondrial energy and the generation and control, damage of lysosomes causing autolysis, depletion of ATP and yttrium 5 tetraphosphate, drastic shift of calcium nitrogen and potassium balance between the hepatocytes and the blood, and it can seriously cause the death. The liver necrosis is an advanced and usually irreversible stage of degradation and the characterized by the presence of cell filaments and the dead hepatocytes without nuclear staining. Without nuclear staining, what are the liver cells, or it may be a dead and it can change the cells into a fragments. Okay, after the death, the cells are divided into a fragments. If the particular person is affected with that a liver neurosis, it cannot be recovered and it cannot be irreversible stage. It cannot be a irreversible stage of a liver. Okay. This type of liver injury um, produced depends on a particular toxic substances and its mode of action. How this particular liver necrosis will happen means only some particular chemicals can affect the liver and the function and mode. What is the mode, which mode of the liver can action their function? At that mode the particular chemicals can change their modulations, and certain compounds cause the peripheral neurosis where many produced as centribular neurosis. The degree of liver damage depends on the dose. So the how the particular liver can be damaged, it can be mainly depends on the how much amount of the dose which can be inhaled by a particular person. Okay, ranging from a single cell neurosis in the centribular region, the massive neurosis throughout the liver. Okay, based on the dose of the toxicity, maybe one single cell in the liver can affected as the liver necrosis. Otherwise, throughout the liver, what are the massive groups? Massive groups of the cell can be affected with the liver necrosis. Okay. Then coming to the next point, for intensity, the low dose of a carbon tetrachloride, which has caused the major toxic effects, a major toxic effects on the liver. Okay, the mainly what are the chemical is named at the low dose, it can cause the massive damage of the liver is nothing but a carbon tetrachloride. Only a fatty liver and the destruction of the hepatic cytochrome P450, which is the maximum in the region near the central nerve, near the a central vein. Okay. However, the chronic administration or exposure leads to the liver cirrhosis and some intense liver cancer and also a kidney damage. Liver cancer and a kidney damage. Paracetamol is widely used as a energetic and the antipyretic drug, which has remarkable by little toxicity when taken it prescribed therapist doses. Overdose of this drug increasingly common in the suicide attempts. It caused the centrobular hepatic neuros and some access of the renal damages. Okay, the common paracetamol tablet also, if the dose will be increases, it can also show the adverse effect on your central nervous system. Okay, then next one is the compounds. The causing the what are the compounds can damage the liver. Okay, before that we are discussing the compounds causing the liver damage. Just we are going to recollect the what are the most important points which are including in the liver necrosis. Okay, the liver necrosis is an advanced and the usually irreversible stage of degradation and is characterized by the presence of cell fragments are dead hepatocytes without nuclear staining. The type of liver injury produced depends on a particular toxic substances and it is mode of action. As certain compounds cause a periportal necrosis, where a many produced a centrilobular necrosis. The degree of liver damage depends on the dose, ranging from a single necrosis in the centribular region to a massive necrosis throughout the liver. For instance, a low dose of carbon tetrachloride, which has caused a major toxic effects on the liver, causes only a fatty liver and a destruction of a hepatic cytochrome P450, which is a maximum in this region near the central vein. However, chronic administration or expose leads to the liver necrosis. In some instance, the liver cancer and also cause the kidney damage. The next one is paracetamol. Paracetamol is a widely used analgesic and the antitypicalytic drug which has remarkable by a little toxicity when taken at the prescribed therapist doses. Up to that is okay. Overdose of this drug increasingly commonly increased the in suicide attempts. It caused the a centribular heptic nervous and some cases it can damage the uh, central renal damage system, renal damage. Okay, then coming to the next point, the compounds causing a liver damage. The compounds can cause the a liver damage. Okay, give me a 1 minute time. I will be back. Yes, I am. A wide range of naturally occurring and the synthetic chemicals are known as the hepatotoxins. What are the hepatotoxin means? What are the chemicals? What are the chemicals which can uh, occurring occurring in the wide range by synthetic, naturally or by synthetic? These are called as the hepatotoxins. Based on the mechanism of injury, hepatotoxicants have been classified either in either as intrinsic or the host hydrostropic. Host hydrostropic. The type of injury infected by agents of either group may be either cytotoxics leading to the necrosis or chloroclastic producing a fatty liver or the mixed. Intrinsic toxicants may be subdivided into a direct and indirect classes. Subdivided into direct and indirect classes. The direct toxicants are cytotoxic agents that damage the other organs besides the liver. In the liver, their attack tends to the involve pesticides and the other agents have been implemented in hepatotoxicity. The several therapeutical agents used as a anesthetic, tranquilants, and the antidepressant, anticoagulants, antimicrobial agents are the antituberculosis drugs, as well as some drugs are prescribed in cardiovascular, nervous, endocrine, rheumatoid, and the neuroplastic disease have been found have some hepatotoxical potentials. What are the drugs which are suggested by a senior doctors and the medicine doctors for the cardiovascular disease, for the nervous system disorders? It may be a endocrinic, and maybe a rheumatoid, it may be a neoplastic. That particular drugs have the capacity and also have the hepatotoxical potentials. Some plant species yielding hepatotoxins including Lantana, Camera, Sesfor albium, and more than 20 species of Cattleya species have the capacity of the hepatotoxic potentials. In addition to these, several industrial solvents and the raw materials, organophosphorus products of antibody which runs to the liver cells as susceptible to attack by the cytotoxic lymphocytes, thereby destroyed the hepatocytes, Shall I repeat? I want to repeat this one more time. Why? Because it is some vast point and typical to understand. The wide range of what are the compounds causing the liver damage means a wide range of naturally occurring and the synthetic chemicals are also known as to be hepatotoxicants. Based on mechanism of injury, hepatotoxicants have been classified either as intrinsic or the a host idocytric. A host idocytric. The type of injury inflicted by agents of their group may be either cytotoxics or a cholesterol or mixed. The intrinsic toxicants may be subdivided into direct and indirect classes. The direct toxicants are a cytotoxic agents that damage other organs besides the liver. In the liver, their attack tends to involve the pesticides and the other agents have been implemented in the hepatotoxicity. The several therapeutic agents used as the anesthetics, tranquilizers, and the anti-disperants, anti-calculus, antimicrobial agents are the antibullous drugs, as well as some drugs prescribed by the some drugs which are prescribed into cardiovascular, nervous damage, endocrinic, rheumatoid, and the neoplastic diseases have been found to have the hepatotoxic potentials. Some plant species yielding hepatotoxins, including Lenanta camera, Sassafras albium, and more than 200 species of the Cattleya. In addition of these are several industrial solvents and the raw materials, organophosphorus production of an antibody which trends to the liver cell as susceptible to attack by the toxic lymphocytes, thereby destroy the hepatocytes. Okay, this is all about that. What are the compounds can cause the liver damage. Okay, then next, coming to the next one, the renal toxicity. The renal toxicity, the blood passing through the kidney, the blood passing through a kidney represent 20 to 25 of the cardiac output of the function of the kidney is to filter out of this blood waste products and the toxins. The kidney is a complex arrangement of vascular endothelial cells and the tubular epithelial cells. The blood vessels and the tubes being intervene. The functional unit of the kidney is the nephron, which passes from the cortex of medulla. Cortex of the medulla, which is located in the brain. Okay. Okay. Renal toxicity. In the renal toxicity, the first point is the blood passing through the kidney. The blood passing through the kidney represent 20 to 25% of the cardiac output, and the function of the kidney, it is to filter out of the blood waste products and the toxins. The kidney is a complex arrangement. The kidney is a complex arrangement of vascular endothelial cells and the tubular epithelial cells, the blood vessels and the tubules being intervened. The functional unit of the kidney is the nephron, which passes from the cortex of the medulla. Which passes from the cortex of the medulla. The environment inside and outside of the nephron, the environment which is present inside and outside of the nephron varies along its length, and this influences the type of toxic effects produced by the neuropathic agents. Neurotoxic agents, it is not the neuropathic agents, it is the neurotoxic agents. Okay, then the kidney has a marked ability to compensate for tissue damage and loss of consequent less in the evolved immediately. The nephrotopic effect may not be recognized. Similarly, a chronic nephrotoxicity may not be recognized because of this compulsory ability. It is clear that the tissue of the kidney are often exposed to the higher concentration of potentially toxic compounds from the most other tissues. In many cases, the metabolites are the less toxic and the more polar and the water soluble than the apparent compound, and the higher concentration in the kidney do not result in toxicity if the metabolite excreted is more toxic. Okay, the kidney is a particularly a vulnerable poison. Vulnerable position. Vulnerable position. I want to repeat this renal toxicity one more time. The blood passing through the kidney represents 20 to 25 of the cardiac output, and the function of the kidney. Is it filter out of the blood waste products of the toxins? The kidney is a complex arrangement of vascular, endothelial cells, tubular epithelial cells, and the blood vessels and the tubules being intervened. The functional unit of the kidney is the nephron, which passes from the cortex to the medulla. The environment inside and the outside of the nephron varies along its length and its influence the a type of toxic produced by a nephrotoxic agents. The kidney has a marked ability to compensate for tissue damage and loss of consequently unless is evaluated immediately, a neuropathic effect may not be recognized. Similarly, the chronic nephrotoxicity may not be recognized because of this compulsory ability. It is clear that the tissue of the kidney are often exposed to the higher concentration of potentially toxic compounds from the other tissues. In many cases, the metabolites are less toxic and the more polar and the water soluble in the parent compounds. And the higher concentrations in the kidney do not result in the toxicity. Okay, if the a metabolite excrete is a more toxic, the kidney is in the particularly vulnerable position. This is all about the renal toxicity. What are the topics which are left in this chapter? We will discuss tomorrow. Thank you.